Mexico. We're going to a very historical site now because this is the site of the first UFO crash in 1945. It's 13 miles away from Trinity site. It is in San Antonio, New Mexico. I learned about it in 2009, and I did some research in the last 7 years when both witnesses were alive, two little boys, Reme Baca, 6 years old, and Jose Padilla, 9 years old, were on the Padilla land looking for a cow that had calved. And during that time period, there was a big thunderstorm, and both Reme and Jose saw a UFO come in, take out a metal tower, a radio tower, and crash on the land that belonged to Jose's father. So both boys witnessed the crash. Both boys went up very close to the crash site with their binoculars. A piece of the craft was broken off, and they saw three little beings that seemed to be in distress, because Jose said that he heard them squealing and he wanted to go in and help them, but did not do it because Reme, who was 6 at the time, started to cry.
We rode the horses back over here, tied them down, and walk up here to these bushes here. They were biggest trees. When we looked down below, we seen that craft that was burning, weeds and everything were burning in the ground. That's when we seen this big crack on one side, and the three beings were moving around. We were here for almost 2.5 hours. It was raining, and the ground, it grounded that object, and it came around in circles, hit a tower with one end, and that's what it came down from that old road, came down skiing all the way down to here in circles until it landed right there. Oh, it was about on an oval shape. I seen that craft in there with that hole on the side. The hole was pointing like now the sun. That's what it was giving us an opportunity to see inside where the hole was. And all we seen was just a little being sashaying back and forth, which they were injured, hollering their lungs out, you know. And also, like a jackrabbit, we used to shoot a jackrabbit, and you don't kill it, he would holler the same thing as a squeal, the same thing as that. At that time, you know, I wanted to go down there and told my friend, you know, let's go down there and help them. They're hurt because they were squealing. And my friend started crying, you know, and said, no, I want to go back to the ranch. We decided to go back to the ranch, you know, and I told my dad about it. When we came back 2.5 days afterwards with the policeman, there was a lot of brush that looked like it was raked with a rake on top of the craft, and we couldn't see it. Just at that time when my father came, there was this guy named Eddie Apodaca, the one who issued me my first driver's license. He came with him, and he was the one who told my dad, he says that he's seen things before because he used to patrol at night, and he used to see these objects, you know, land and all that, you know. And he was the one who recommended us not to come back over here because that was a military issue. And but we snaked out every day for the 7 to 8 days, you know. We snaked out and came out here to the back and look at that military boys. There was always 5 military boys working. It was the 7th day when they loaded that on the craft on the trailer. They went over and covered it, and there was 5 men plus one that's standing on post. He took off, all 5, 6 of them took off to the Owl Bar and Cafe to see the girls out there. That's when I told my my friend, now is the time that we can go and see what's inside there, you know. So we just left the horses over here and ran down in there, looked inside there, and right where that opening was, I went on and I tied a rope and lifted the tarp, and I looked in there, and I told my friend, you know, I'm gonna go in there and see what's in there. Hop on the trailer, went in, and I seen this thing, you know, that was on a square mounted towards a wall, and it was kitty corner like that, facing the sun. And I went on and I hit it with my finger like that, and it turned in circles. That's that piece that I yanked out of there. And I don't know if you're familiar with these truckers. They carry a bar that they call it a sheeter bar to tighten up the chains. I told my friend, you know, go down to the front out there of the trailer and get the sheeter bar. He brought it over to me, and I stuck the sheeter bar in there and I poked it, and it popped right out. The pin that was holding it, it wasn't a threaded pin, it wasn't a riveted pin. It was something that if you would pull it in the hole and then it popped, swell open, you know. But I forgot about that. I took that thing over in a hurry. I took it up and it fell on the floor, which I should have picked it up and saved it. That's what they can figure out that's what made the thing turn around, you know.
Was there anything inside the craft that you saw?
It was clear. It was clear. They already cleaned it out. It was clean as like someone had swept it, except for that object that was right there. I would have yanked the whole plate right off. But when they took off from here, came back from looking at the girls, they got on the truck, and at midnight they passed through San Antonio, right next to the Alba Bar. When they got over there, they had already inventory taken off over here. They got over there and they took inventory again. Something was missing. It was about 3 weeks later. The military wouldn't let no one in that road that we came in because they were looking for something. And it was that part that, up to now, I don't know whether if we went over to Roswell or he went up to Nevada or what, you know. But I know that they took that at midnight. San Antonio is asleep. No lights whatsoever. And they went there at midnight. They crossed that trailer and everything all the way to, on 380, all the way to that White Sands Missile Range.
The location and the date. The location is 13 miles from the Trinity site where the atomic bomb went off, where it was blasted, and the time was 1 month after the bomb blast. Just so people get an idea, Trinity, this is San Antonio where the crash happened. It's at roughly about 13 miles where the bomb exploded. This is Socorro, Lonnie Zamora, 1964. This is where Jose lives today in La Jolla. This is going to Albuquerque. I think what's interesting about this map is Magdalena, this place, because another crash supposedly happened in Magdalena. So for me as a researcher, this is the first UFO crash. Roswell was in 1947. This was in 1945. And what's important is what we have here in this story is I interviewed both witnesses. Now we have lost Reme Baca. We still have Jose. We have the witnesses. We have the site. We know where it crashed because you'll see the place where this, it's a round circle about 30 feet in diameter, and we even have metal. So for me, it's an astounding story that I've been working on since 2009, and it makes perfect sense that whoever was visiting or whatever was happening in this area, and we had several crashes. We had the Aztec, Plains of St. Augustine, Roswell, in this area of New Mexico, that whatever was visiting was very interested in our nuclear capacity and in our historic timeline that changed the world into the world of the atomic danger, the atomic bomb. And then we went to the H-bomb and so forth. So this site for me is history, and my intention in covering it is historical.
This mesquite here and cactuses, back at that time, in 1945, they were almost as tall as a tree, where we could hide over here and the military wouldn't see us.
So what you said, it was burnt?
This caused that all these things dying like that from the radiation of the bomb. Because when the bomb was tested, my mother looked through the crack of the door. She got blind out of that eye. After a while, we seen and felt like a warm breeze, and that was the radiation that was. Because I remember the cows that were facing that resplendation of that, they became with pink eye. And that wasn't pink eye, it was that radiation of the bomb. We had a jet black German Shepherd. And the side where the light hit, it not white, but it turned yellowish.
Was the bomb before or after the crash?
Before.
Tell me that.
The bomb happened, when they tested the bomb, was July 16th, 1945, at 4:51 in the morning.
And when was the craft crash?
When the crash, the craft was August 16th, 1945. It was a month after that.
Okay, Jose, what's curious to me is that we have the exact circle where the craft was. It came in, it slid because you saw the crash, it slid, it landed here, and this exact circle, and I've been here for now, I don't know, 6 years, the exact circle is a circle, and it's looks like the land, nothing grows in this circle. Why do you think that it's maintained its shape like this?
The heat of that object burnt the roots
Okay.
of the plant.
Of anything that was growing here.
Anything was growing.
The thing is that the circle is so pronounced and so different from the other landscape. You can see that's gray dirt with stones. This is just the exact, shape of what was here. And I don't know what the explanation is for the exact circle. I mean, what is the dirt so irradiated and so dry that it maintained that this particular spot was really not fit for anything else, so nothing is grown here. But, Jose's been coming back here year after year to look at the spot, and it's pretty much the same. It's the same size. So the craft was, you said 30 feet in diameter, so how big?
No, it was 15 feet by 30 feet on an oval shape.
15 feet by 30 feet in an oval shape. And where exactly? You can walk, I think, without being hurt. Walk it through.
It was right over here, all the way across,
Okay.
because the oval shape was facing with a crack to the sun.
So the crack was this way. The crack part of the craft was this
Because
way.
it swung around and skidded all the way around over here.
Skidded from there, yeah.
And
'Cause
landed.
It skidded. I guess you can see the dirt is the same color over there. It skidded from over here, and it landed over here.
And when it hit that tower, it turned around in circles
It turned
and
around
skidded.
circle and skidded.
It skidded
this
all
the
alongside
way
over
this
here.
back, and landed here.
It landed right there where there was a pile of sand dirt or whatever.
On the side of it.
And it landed kind of sideways like that. That's where I seen, where the crack on that big piece of it.
Yeah, because it was sitting in the
But
air
on an angle,
on an angle. Yeah,
That-
and so it just stayed here. And when they went to cover it up, they just threw just whatever they found here.
And whatever they found here, they were trying to cover it up, I guess, so no one would see it.
So no one would see it. But you guys were the ones to see it when it finished crashing, because if there was burnt mesquite and you smelled all the burnt and everything, it had just crashed.
It was like a forest fire here.
Oh, it was like a forest fire. Yeah. Okay.
Because these trees over here and cactuses, they were grown.
Okay.
And with the heat of anything like that, it makes a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
That's what caught us the attention from the.
So you saw where it landed because you saw the smoke coming up from where it landed.
That's when we came all the way across, and stood out on the horses back there. We came up where the trees were. That's when we seen that.
Yeah, that it was sitting up on an angle. And the angle that was up on was where the beings were, the three beings that were, you said, floating back and forth.
Yeah, they were.
And you could hear the screeching. You said when they stood up, they looked like fire ants.
Yeah, if you would stand up a fire ant upright,
yeah,
he'd be identical, the same thing, except for the long arms. They had long arms
and four fingers.
And the color?
And the color of the skin, kind?
It was a grayish, like if there was a uniform slipped on tight.
Okay, so it was like they had a uniform almost, as part of their skin.
Yeah.
Okay. And then about getting the piece, where exactly was the flatbed truck located? When they had to pick this thing up and put it on a truck, and it's a big thing. The
flatbed truck was pulled in through that road. Came in and they backed it up right in here.
They backed it right here.
They lifted up with an A-frame.
Right.
And set it on an angle.
Yeah.
Because there's a bridge there.
Yeah, it's an overpass, actually.
It's an overpass.
And they couldn't get it underneath.
They couldn't go underneath there.
No.
So they had to lay it
flat.
Not flat, but kind of and they missed it about 12 inches on that.
When they tried to get it on that underpass.
On the rear, I would call that the rear, was a dome.
A dome. Yeah.
I don't know whether it was plastic or if that was a guide from the operator or whatever.
You don't know whether it belonged to the craft or not. It was a dome.
It was a dome.
The other thing that's real interesting for me is if you look at this view through these two hills, that's Trinity Site over there, isn't it?
That's Trinity Site right there.
You can see Trinity Site right through here. But the only thing of interest here is not necessarily the people, but the bomb, which was right there, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the year, 1945, a month after the bomb, right?
And the bomb, it's like a canyon over here.
I know.
That's where the radiation came in and killed everything up.
Yeah, okay, the radiation came out on a 70-mile diameter and killed everything. And injured people and the cattle and so forth, right?
Right.
So the idea that this would be a spot where extraterrestrials might be curious about our nuclear abilities, that's why we had the activity in this part of New Mexico. This is a really historical place, Jose, isn't it? This is This is the kind of the office of Oppenheimer and the Manhattan scientists, right?
Right.
And this you saw this when it was not a broken down kind of shack that it is now. You saw it in 1945. What was it like to see these guys here?
I was 8.5, 9 years old when we used to watch these people come in here, and we were wondering what was going on. And sometimes we say, well, they're salesmen. Now the owner of that owl bar over here says that they thought they were prospectors.
Because they carried briefcases.
Yes.
Okay, so and it affected your family. Can you explain the day that the bomb went off, what it was like? Who was in your house and what happened?
Well, it happened that I usually get up at 4 o'clock in the morning
Mm-hmm.
with my mother to make my dad's breakfast
Mm-hmm.
and see him out to work.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, like a light
Mm-hmm.
breathing sound wind started
A hot wind?
coming, hot wind coming through.
And you said you lost your
From
your,
the sound, I lost the hearing of this ear.
one ear. Okay. And you lost. You had other things happen. Your teeth.
My teeth and my lung. One, I don't have one lung,
Okay.
that was caused from that.
Yeah, and you were just a little boy, so it affected
I was
you.
9 years old, and when they tested me at school, and they tried all types of glasses, and the only glasses that would fit me to see right was the darkest glasses you couldn't see through.
You're not that far away from Trinity, isn't it? Some 14 miles.
It's 12 miles exactly from the ranch.
And the thing is that no one told the town they were going to do this. Did
No.
they? No.
No one notified that the ranch was there. And after a week and a half afterwards, we had a meeting with the government over here at the Owl Bar, which they told us that the sound that we heard that day was an old ammunition dump that blew up.
Yeah, that
On
they
that
blew
area.
up an old ammunition dump.
And the
So-
people believe it.
The people didn't do anything. They
No.
believed it.
No, they believe it. And after that, they started suffering from lung cancer, and a lot of them are not here.
Your crash was the real first UFO crash because you just said the bomb went off on the 16th of July, 1945.
This is the one that started it all.